Hi, this is David Humphreys with the 5th Property Investment Analyser tutorial. In the last tutorial I looked at extra work detail and fudged it a bit because when I went to enter information into the spreadsheet, into the analyzer, it didn't do what I expected. There was an error in the analyzer which has now been corrected. So I'm going to go back into the extra work detail and show you how this has worked. Broadly speaking, you list under each of the trades, because there's a sheet, there's a panel for each trade, what you're going to be doing. And the reason for doing this, even though the work may be above, as in the case of repair guttering, if I scroll up, we'll find repair guttering above here somewhere. Where is it? Here we are, repair, renew, guttering, okay? Even though it's up there, don't, if you've left it off the original estimate, don't go and put a tick in this box here, because it'll change the estimated total up there, and you want to preserve the estimated total. So the way I work this is that even though, as I said, you've got this work listed above, and it's building work, come down here, and you put in repair guttering and tick the yes box, and then it automatically knows it's building work. And you then put in the team days into here, and whether you're using skilled and labour. Well, in the case of guttering, you would be using one skilled man, one labourer, because you need somebody on the end of the ladder. The day rate comes down automatically, and therefore you've got the labour cost under the relevant heading. I'll just bring this up a little bit. So these headings still work across the extras area. Then you have the total labour cost there. You've got the material element you put in. Obviously there's no guide on materials because this is a job that you're putting in as an extra job, although if it's equivalent to something up above, you can always go and pick up the guide off that. If you don't enter the guide, put the estimated materials in, which gives you the full job cost, and then over here the number of days left to complete it. As this work hasn't started yet, there's 2 days left to complete it. Now you then fill up the relevant panel depending on what the job is. Then what happens is that the extra work is taken up into these panels here. So we've got this repeated, the 1 day, which is, and the 1 day is added to this total of team days, 2 man days, 1 skilled, 1 labour. There's no rate per day because you might have down here an occasion where you're using 1 skilled, 1 labour, and another occasion where you may be using 2 skilled, 1 labour. So the rate per day isn't constant. The labour rate then comes in, and as does the total labour, total materials, etc., and job cost. Now, as you put extra work into this sheet, the contingency sum which is set here doesn't change, but the extra works does change, and the amount of the extra works is deducted from the contingency sum to leave the balance. So that's how extra works work, and you've got one panel of 10 jobs per trade, which should be enough, but it doesn't disturb, I stress, it doesn't disturb the initial estimated total. You want to keep that, and the reason for doing that is that if you do make errors, you can see where the errors were, or you make omissions, I should say. If you can see what omissions were made, and even if, for instance, you've estimated up above that you should take 2 days over something, and in fact you take 4 days, don't change that estimate. Don't change. I'll scroll up again. Don't change any of the numbers up here once the work has started. Change the numbers or make the adjustments down here under the extra work situation. Okay? Okay, that finishes work, or that finishes the tutorial on the refurbishment calculator, which, as I said, really is the heart of this analyzer. And I'm now going to move on to the tax splitter, the Property Investment Analyser tax return split or splitter. And the way this works is that all the work that is in the refurbishment calculator is repeated here. Now, in some cases, the works will be all revenue. In other cases, they will be all capital. And in other cases, they will be split between revenue and capital. The point of revenue and capital is that, and this is covered, by the way, in the online tutorial Renovating for Profit, is that the revenue costs of any repairs are deducted or recovered through the rent, and the capital costs are recovered through the capital gain. And to give you two examples, provided the house is capable of being let, by the way, to start off with when you buy it, redecorating the property would be a revenue cost, 100% revenue. On the capital side, if you were to install an extractor fan into the bathroom where one didn't exist before, the entire cost of that would be a capital sum. But when you come down to, for instance, clearing a property, which is the first job on the list, if you've got a level of revenue and a level of capital, then from my point of view, and we've taken advice on this, you should split that cost between revenue and capital, and therefore and the revenue will go along with that. So in certain cases it's 100% revenue. In other cases it's all capital, as in the case here of creating a patio door opening. It's an improvement, it's all capital. And then there are other areas where you've got replace or fit, supply and fit. So if you're replacing the bathroom suite, you're replacing an existing bathroom suite with something that is equivalent standard, that would be 100% revenue. But if on the other hand you're supplying and fitting a new bathroom, or you are supplying and fitting a bath which is, let's say, a jacuzzi bath as against an ordinary bath, that would become, as an improvement, and would become a capital sum, not a revenue sum. In any event, this enables you to split each job that you're doing, including the extra work as well down here, between revenue and capital. And then you get the analysis up here and the capital revenue split running here. As you can see, it totals up to 100%, thankfully. Okay, but as regards this particular sheet, do seek qualified accountancy advice. Accountants will differ on their advice as to how to approach this. We've approached it like this for years now, for over 10 years, and we've never had a problem. We've been challenged by the revenue, and we've always won. But do seek advice. Your accountant must be comfortable with what you're doing, obviously, or you must be comfortable. The other source of advice, by the way, which is free, is to go and talk to the revenue themselves. I've always found them particularly helpful on matters like this. At the end of the day, you're not trying to avoid paying tax or evade paying tax, because either the cost, well, in the majority of cases, in 99% of the time, the cost will either be a revenue cost, in which case you recover it against your surplus rent, or I should say your positive cash flow or profit rent, or it will be a capital cost, in which case you bring it into play when you sell the property and set it against any capital gain before tax is assessed. So either way, the revenue allow you this expense. It's a question of which pot it falls into. Okay, so that explains the tax return splitter. I've now moved on to the next sheet, the Invoices Received and Payments Made sheet, the refurbishment accounts. And here you're able to introduce payments made on a weekly basis, I suggest, the check numbers that you use or the payment numbers that you use, the contractor, the invoice number, the payment number, the labour, in this particular case it's the builder, and whether you have a fuel allowance. You're able to do this across the various trades, and then over here If you scroll sideways, you can bring in the materials and subcontractors. So this sheet allows you to keep track of all the invoices that are coming in respect of the works that you're doing and the payments that you're making. And as a record, it just completes the whole position with regard to this analyzer. You certainly need these receipts and invoices for tax purposes. You don't submit them with your tax return, but if the revenue want to see them, then you must be in a position to be able to provide them and support the claims that you're making. So there's really nothing more to say about this particular sheet. It just keeps the whole job together, so to speak. And now we're going to move on to the viewing sheet. The property viewing assessment form, and this sheet is another of the sheets that enables you to complete this analyzer in less than 15 minutes, because you take this sheet with you when you go and view a property. Address of the property and street number, the town, the postcode, and the type of property: a semi-detached, terrace, detached, flat, whatever. The asking or guide price, guide is what is used in auctions. Asking is through estate agents. The market value, open market value. Then we have I'll come back to the required list in a minute. Number of rooms across here. Now either you can put the number of rooms above the line here and use the box below the line for measurements, or you can put the number of rooms in below the line. It's your choice. I tend to put the number of rooms above the line and put the measurements in below the line. And then we have, most importantly, the property width. This is the overall property width, the footprint of the property and its depth. Now once again, all the work is repeated from the property refurbishment sheet. Okay, job by job by job. And here is, as you go around the property, you simply put in a yes for the works that you want to have happen. Okay, if you put a yes in here, for instance, because it's green, then you should tick building control up here will be required on UPVC windows, unless of course the windows are being put in by a fence registered contractor. But if you're renewing the bulkheads, then definitely you'll need building control. So it's a very instant check. And likewise, if you're going to put up anything that requires planning, you put a tick into this box. If you need an architect on board as well, you simply tick that box. But coming back to the required column, you simply put a yes into here as you walk round the property and tick this box if the work is required. Now, this man days is what is loaded into the refurbishment calculator. So this sheet is reading the number of man days that is preloaded or has been altered into the refurbishment calculator. Now you may be looking at a property which does not require 6 man days to clear it. You may only want 4 man days. So you simply put a 4 into this column here, write it in by hand, and then when you come, and we'll go back to it in a minute, when you come to load it into the refurbishment calculator, you adjust the relevant columns. Now, in most cases, if you're sticking to the same type of property all the time, not many of these man days are going to change. Obviously, if you're 1 minute doing a 1-bedroom flat, the next minute you're doing a 5-bedroomed house, the man days certainly will change. But my advice anyway is to try and stick to something which your builders are familiar with, because your costs come down and the whole thing gets more efficient. In any event, any other comments you want to make about the particular job, you can write in here, so you've got a record, permanent record of what's going on. But you take this with you when you go and view the property, and having viewed the property, you then go back, you come back into the office or home and change the calculator to suit. And now I'm going to go and show you how I do that. Now here we are back with the refurbishment calculator, and if you remember, we were talking about clearing a property, phase 1, and it had 6 man days, and I said no, when I viewed the property I wouldn't need more than 4 days, 4 man days doing it. So one very simple way to do it is I've got a skilled man clearing the property along with 2 labourers. If I simply change the number of labourers to 1, then man days will recalculate itself at 4. I hope. There we go, 4 man days. It's just that simple, just that simple. And this is why, as I said, although this looks very complex, this property investment analyzer, and it is, and it's also very detailed, it is very easy to use once you get used to what's involved. So quite simply, going back to the viewing sheet, I've come back in, I've ticked the job off. Look, it's even changed man days on the viewing sheet. I've ticked the job off. It was at 6. I said no, I'm going to use 4 days to do the work, not 6. I've gone back to the refurbishment calculator, knocked one of the men off, said no, I always use a skilled man to do the initial clear, by the way, because he can decide what needs to be knocked down, chucked out, etc. So I simply take a labourer off, and I've reduced it to 4 man days. Simple as that. And it's very quick and very easy. And I haven't got to recalculate it, it's already recalculated it. Let me show you. Put 2 back in here. I've got a labour cost of £430. Reduce that to 1 man, and the labour cost reduces to £330. It's all set up, all ready to rock and roll. And it's very simple. Quite seriously, I am able to go in with my viewing form. I've gone through a house in 5 minutes, literally a 3-bedroom terraced house in 5 minutes. I knew what I was looking for. It had got the right footprint, and therefore I knew what I needed to do. I've come back into the office, and I've completed this form again in minutes, and ended up back with the first page here and a maximum offer price 10, 12, 15 minutes later. About the only thing that takes time is the area analyzer, this one, to get the comps in. This is about the only thing that takes any serious amount of time, because you're looking at a right move or mouse price and thinking, is this like the property I'm looking at? But once you've got this done, it's like a hot knife through butter. And you can reach this maximum offer price very, very quickly and very, very easily. Anyway, by the way, show this analyzer to a builder and your credibility goes up considerably. Show it to an estate agent and they'll look at you with a great deal more respect. Your mortgage broker will love it. Send it up to your lender, and they're able to see everything about this deal. It's all available, all visible. Anyway, that brings me to the end of these 5 tutorials on the Property Investment Analyzer and how it works, and I do hope that you enjoy using it. It's been fun to develop it. The analyzer that I first developed was then taken over by Monique, who made it look a lot more beautiful and a lot more usable, much more user-friendly than I came up with. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed these tutorials. I've enjoyed doing them, and I hope they've been helpful. Any questions, obviously give us a call. In the meantime, this is David Humphreys signing off. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and yeah, it's been fun. Thank you. Goodbye.